The alarm on my wrist console screamed at 3 in the morning, and my hands were shaking before I even opened my eyes. Someone had breached the outer gate of our settlement, and the only thing I could think about was Lyra, still asleep in the next room, unaware that her entire world was about to collapse into mine. I grabbed my jacket and ran through the corridor, boots slamming against the metal floor, heart hammering so hard I could hear it over the sirens. Outside, the sky over the colony was streaked with orange emergency lights, and armed figures in unfamiliar uniforms were spreading across the landing field like a wave of dark water. I had lived on this frontier world for 6 years, working as a systems engineer for the Joint Human Outpost, and never once had I seen soldiers like these. Their armor bore a crest I did not recognize, a silver bird wrapped around a broken crown. I did not know yet what that symbol meant. I only knew that it made every guard on our perimeter freeze in place, as if they were staring at a ghost. I pushed through the crowd gathering near the central tower, searching for her. Lyra was not just my partner of 6 years, she was the calm center of my entire life. When I found her, she was standing perfectly still at the edge of the courtyard, staring at the soldiers, with an expression I had never seen on her face before. Not fear, recognition. "Lyra," I said, grabbing her arm. "We need to move. Now." She did not move. Her eyes were fixed on a tall woman stepping down from the lead ship, dressed not in armor, but in a long silver coat that caught the light like liquid metal. The woman's gaze swept across the crowd and landed directly on Lyra, and she smiled, dropping into a slow, deliberate bow. "Your Highness," the woman said, loud enough for the whole courtyard to hear. "The Council has been searching for you for 6 years." The words hit me like a physical blow. I turned to look at Lyra, waiting for her to laugh, to say this was a mistake, to tell me these people had the wrong person. Instead, she closed her eyes and let out a breath she seemed to have been holding since the day I met her. "Get everyone inside," she said quietly to me. "Please, Callum, trust me for a few more minutes." I did not let go of her hand, even as the soldiers formed a loose circle around us, weapons lowered but ready. The woman in silver introduced herself as Administrator Vesa, a name Lyra flinched at slightly, though she said nothing. "You have caused quite a search," Vesa continued, walking closer. "Your uncle held the regency for 6 years, insisting you would return when you were ready. He was right, it seems, though I doubt he expected to find you living among humans, running a supply depot." "I was not running," Lyra said, her voice steady now, the softness I knew from years of quiet evenings, replaced by something sharper, older. "I was surviving." "There is a difference." I stood there holding her hand, feeling like a stranger in my own life. 6 years of shared meals, shared laughter, shared silence when words were not needed, and I had never known she was hiding an entire kingdom behind her eyes. Vesa held out a sealed letter, its edges glowing faintly with an authentication mark I had seen once before, on a diplomatic ship passing through our port. "This carries the Council's formal request. Your cousin has taken the regency by force. The kingdom needs its rightful heir, or it needs no heir at all, because he intends to end the bloodline entirely." Lyra took the letter with hands that trembled only slightly. She broke the seal and read in silence, while the entire courtyard held its breath. I watched her face shift from disbelief to grief, to something that looked almost like fury. "He killed my mother," she said finally, folding the letter closed. "And now he wants me dead too, so there is no one left to challenge him." "Then don't go," I said, before I could stop myself. "Stay here. We can protect you. This is your home now." She turned to me, and for a moment the queen disappeared, and I saw only Lyra, the woman who used to fall asleep reading old human novels, who taught me the songs from her childhood, who once cried during a meteor shower because it reminded her of a place she said she could never return to. Now I understood why. "If I stay," she said softly, "he will keep sending people like this until he finds me. And next time, they might not ask so politely. Every person on this settlement would be in danger because of me. I cannot let that happen." I felt my chest tighten. 6 years, and it was ending in a courtyard at 3 in the morning, with strangers in silver armor. "Then I'm coming with you." Vesa raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. "A human, in the royal court? That has never happened in the history of our people." "Then it's about time it did," I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. Lyra looked at me for a long moment, searching my face as if trying to memorize it in case this was a mistake. "It will not be safe, Callum. My cousin has allies everywhere. He will see you as a weakness to exploit." "I don't care," I said. "I did not fall in love with a queen. I fell in love with you. If the crown comes with you, then I suppose I am marrying trouble, but I have never been afraid of a little trouble." For the first time since the alarms went off, she smiled, small and real. Vesa cleared her throat, clearly unused to sentiment interrupting royal business, but said nothing more. We were given 1 hour to prepare before the ship would leave. As we packed, Lyra finally told me everything, the words spilling out like a dam breaking after years of silence. Her mother had ruled fairly, and was loved by most of the kingdom, but a faction led by her cousin believed the throne should belong to a stronger bloodline, one untouched by what they called weakness for peace. When her mother was assassinated during a diplomatic dinner, 6-year-old Lyra had been smuggled off-world by a loyal guard, disguised as a refugee, and eventually found her way into human territory, where she believed she would be safe forever. "I never wanted this life to find you," she said, folding a small box of old photographs into her bag. "I wanted to give you a simple life, a normal one." "I never wanted normal," I told her. "I wanted you. The rest is just details." The journey to her homeworld took 3 days, and every hour of it felt like walking toward a storm we could see forming on the horizon, but could not avoid. Revesa briefed us on the political landscape, the factions still loyal to Lyra's mother, the ones who had shifted allegiance out of fear rather than belief, and the small but growing group who followed her cousin, a man named Draven, purely because he offered them power. When we finally landed, the capital city stretched out beneath a sky the color of pale gold, towers rising like frozen waves of glass and stone. It was beautiful, in a way that made my chest ache, because I could see immediately how much Lyra belonged here, and how much she had given up to keep me and everyone she loved safe. Draven was waiting for us in the grand hall, surrounded by soldiers loyal only to him. He was tall, sharp-featured, with the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. He looked at Lyra the way a predator looks at prey it has finally cornered after a long chase. "Cousin," he said, spreading his arms in mock welcome. "How kind of you to finally come home, and how strange, bringing a human pet along with you." I felt anger flare in my chest, but Lyra placed a hand gently on my arm, silently asking me to stay calm. She stepped forward, chin raised, every inch the queen she had been born to be, even after 6 years of hiding it. "I am not here to beg for my place," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. "I am here to reclaim it. The council has already recognized my return. The people will decide the rest." Draven's smile faltered slightly, replaced by something colder. "The people do not decide. Strength decides. And you abandoned this kingdom for 6 years while I held it together." "You held it together with fear," Lyra said. "I have watched the reports from exile, the taxes crushing the outer villages, the disappearances of anyone who spoke against you. That is not strength. That is cruelty wearing a crown." The hall fell utterly silent. I could see the guards shifting, some looking toward Draven for orders, others glancing toward Lyra with something that looked dangerously close to hope. This was the moment, I realized, that would decide everything, not with weapons, but with words, and the loyalty of people who had been waiting 6 years for someone to finally stand up and say enough. Vesa stepped forward then, unrolling a formal decree bearing the seals of the surviving council members. "The council has voted. The rightful heir has returned and been verified. Regent Draven, your temporary authority ends at this moment." For a long, tense breath, I thought Draven might do something reckless, might call for his soldiers to act. Instead, he looked around the hall and saw what I saw. Guards lowering their weapons, officials stepping back from his side, the tide turning against him in real time. Cornered and outnumbered, he had no move left to make. "This is not finished," he said, backing toward the door, though his voice lacked the confidence from moments before. "No," Lyra agreed calmly, "but it is finished for you." The guards moved to escort him out, and just like that, 6 years of exile ended in a single afternoon, inside a hall of gold and glass. Lyra turned to me, and for the first time since the alarms had woken me that morning, I saw her shoulders relax completely. "Are you still certain about this?" she asked quietly, away from the crowd. A human, standing beside a queen, in a world that has never seen such a thing. I took her hand, the same hand I had held through 6 years of quiet evenings, and now through the loudest day of both our lives. "I told you already, I did not fall for a crown. I fell for you. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Outside the tall windows, the golden sky stretched endlessly over a kingdom about to begin healing, and standing beside her, I understood that our story had not ended in that courtyard at 3 in the morning. It had only just begun.